That's why you never bring a Nintendo Switch to the Church of Scientology. All right, so
No.
Bert, uh, we're gonna make fools of ourselves because we don't watch college basketball at
No.
all. But
Nope.
we're gonna pick teams. We're gonna pick the bracket. We're gonna go
At
through
least,
each
yeah,
region,
for the first
try
round for
it,
sure.
see what happens.
It'll be a weekly thing, right? So we'll go through 32 today,
Mhm.
and then when it gets to 16, do
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
I have a foolproof strategy that I think will work for me. I don't know if
Hmm.
it's gonna work out well, but we're gonna try it. The Cincinnati Bengals did the one thing I keep telling these teams not to do, and they did it twice. Paying skill players. Big mistake. So we'll talk about Cincinnati, all NFL offseason stuff, Bert, and then we'll talk if Josh Allen needs to win a Super Bowl more right now than Lamar and Joe Burrow, and some other fun stuff. We got a lot of things to talk about. So let's go
Hmm.
ahead and get it started.
Give them a shot to do what?
Sports.
Sports. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Stuff About Sports, presented by the Give Us a Shot Network, powered by Fast Break Coffee, and sponsored, as always, Bert, by the haters.
And hate they do.
Yes, they do. All week. I love it. Keep it coming. Your tears are like PEDs to us. I'm the Facebook felon germ. That is the pretty Corey Burt.
Mhm.
And yeah, man, how's your week?
So far, so good.
Yeah.
Where we are in the Northeast, the weather is just starting to warm up a little bit.
Mm,
So it's like a taste of spring for like 3 hours in the day. Because in the morning it's still your third, like high 30s, 40s.
right.
And then once that sun starts, not is down, but starts to go down, there's a cool breeze and it gets back down a little bit low. But man, there's a good 3 hours in the day, probably from like noon to 3, that like the sun is shining and you're just like, okay, like spring is here. We
Mhm.
are we are getting warmer and inching closer to just all around happiness, Plus baseball's coming back.
Yeah.
Hockey playoffs are starting, despite the fact that the Rangers really don't want to be playing in them. Basketball playoffs, and then
Yeah.
soon football.
Yeah. We got the NFL draft. I'm sure we'll talk about it here in a little bit. I'm glad that you're getting a taste of warm weather. It's been like that in North Carolina for a while now. So
All right, fuck off.
went to the beach yesterday. I mean,
Did you
easy.
really?
Hell yeah, man. Just took
Oh,
a stroll in the sand, put my feet in the sand. I don't go farther than ankle deep just because there's scary shit out there in the ocean.
dude,
And
same. Yeah.
yeah, there's nothing. If like God wanted me in the water, he would give me gills, right? Like,
I
if,
tell people all the time, like, I'll gladly fight a fish on land, but
right.
I'm not going to do it in the water. That's their turf.
Yeah. Statistically, I believe shark attacks happen less on land than
Yeah.
they do in water. So
Yeah.
to beat the odds, I'll go ahead and stay on my couch and watch it on Disney Plus on the Nat Geo section because yeah, there's no way. There's too much dangerous stuff out there. Sharks aren't bothering me on the couch while I'm watching Tiffany Towers. So, Bert, let's get into the NFL offseason. There's a couple of big things happening. To you, what was the biggest story in the NFL this past week in terms of free agency or anything, really?
It's got to be the Bengals, right?
Yeah.
That, I mean, you led into it, but that is to me one of the biggest ones. And look, we talked a lot in terms of like other things going on. We're still waiting to see where Aaron Rodgers is going to end up. Same thing with Russ, and the Giants, of course, meeting with Jameis for some reason. But overall, to me, that is one of the bigger stories. And I mean, listen, they're trying to get Joe Cool some help.
Yeah, I was shocked at what the Bengals did, right? Like you signed Jamar Chase, what is it,
Yep.
161 million. T. Higgins to 115 million. I think they're both now two top five like in non-quarterbacks, right? Paid.
Yeah.
And we go through this every offseason. Bert, was the Bengals issues offense last year?
It was mostly health.
It was health and defense.
Yeah.
Why are you paying skill players? the top 10 receivers of all time, the ones that you pay, only like 3 of them have Super Bowls. Like skill player, like I get it, man. Like T. Higgins, all these people, like Jamar Chase, they're top of the top. But the Bengals scored a shit ton of points, had a shit ton of offense last year, and were awful because of their defense. Bert, I will say it every time something like this happens. Quarterback, pass rush, O-line, shut down corner. Those are the only 4 positions you pay in football. Not only did the Bengals double up, basically double down on what happened with their team and how it's been built, but now they have like 3 of the most expensive players in the league on their roster. They're not going to have any money unless, obviously they'll figure out some gymnastics and figure out how to sign like vet minimums and try to bring in guys that are kind of trying to make it happen and catch a bunch of lightning in a bunch of bottles. But Cincinnati, to me, this was a mistake. This was a mistake. You keep one and you build the rest of the roster. Grant Riddell says, Cowboys just signed Dwight McDingleberry. I feel like he's. I don't know if that's a real thing, Bert. You might have to research that. I never.
Yeah, no, I don't think. No, yeah, I think
is that McDingle?
That's got to be off Key and Peele, right?
I'm about to say that sounds like Key and Peele.
I've never heard of, but if this is true, it's hilarious. It's got to be Key.
The Cowboys would sign somebody like that, and I would fall for it. And they still won't do anything in the playoffs. So it doesn't matter. No. Doesn't matter who they sign. Yeah, I'm shocked. I'm absolutely shocked that the Bengals did this because, again, when you look at, I don't buy the impact of position dependent players. You know what I mean? Like I get the greatness of Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, but when you have so many holes on your team, obviously, you have the great Joe Burrow as your quarterback. If you have a quarterback, look at Josh Allen last year with making guys like Mac Hollins, money, making guys, who typically wouldn't be considered number 1 receivers. And the Bills had one of the better offenses and best production from receivers because they spread it around. When you have a great quarterback, you don't need to overpay for receivers. The Vikings did this because they were losing Kirk Cousins. They didn't have an answer at quarterback, and they were drafting a rookie, which, we'll get to that in a second when it comes to the Vikings and their quarterback situation, but they could afford to do it. It's Justin Jefferson. We'll see if that pays off for them. Yeah. Again, they only had Justin Jefferson. And I told you when it happened, I was like, man, that's a mistake because it looks good now, but obviously you don't know what's going to happen. You lose a year of JJ McCarthy on a rookie contract because of his injury. And so when it comes to extension time for him, that contract's going to make a difference. And, we'll see one of these situations where this guy's going to ask for, a trade or, who knows what's going to happen if the Vikings don't come out immediately winning. Yeah. And then we talk about the Vikings. Finally, somebody stood up to these boys. You have Cam Hayward on the Steelers saying, hey, dog, you want to be a Steeler or not? And then the Vikings now saying, yeah, Aaron Rodgers, all right, man, enough. We're going to roll with JJ McCarthy. People were they were offering, there was like trade packages, like for draft, like moving up in the draft. And, that way the Vikings could do something. But, the fact that JJ McCarthy more coveted than Aaron Rodgers in 2025 is hilarious. And now sadly, the Brett Favre career arc story mode is over. Yeah, because supposedly the Vikings are not interested in Aaron Rodgers. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, wild to me, right? You would think, and look, I get it. Teams at this point, they have to prepare for the draft, so they have to know like where are they lacking, what are the gaps, and what should they be realistically be focusing on too, right? And I mean, you would think a lot of this is already firmed up, but for some teams, it may have waited on a quarterback like an Aaron Rodgers in itself. I get it. I get teams starting to pull back because it's like, well, what are you waiting for? It kind of also shows, depending on how meetings went, like how much of a buy-in did they get from him? Is his mind still with football, or is he just looking for something to do? Like, does he want to be competitive, or just does he want to be active? Like, is he actually showing up to win, or would he rather play in the senior pickleball tournament just to get out of the house? Like, so for me, I totally understand. With that being said, still a couple of teams that are probably gonna, vie for his interest. New York being one of them. But yeah, dude, I get it. I mean, sucks that we won't see the full Brett Favre arc, but hey, there's still time. I do think like had he went to Minnesota, there would have been a really good opportunity to have the likes of a JJ McCarthy really like sit back and almost continue. And even though we know he's ready, so you have him as obviously the backup option, or I mean, do what they did in Pittsburgh this past year and split between, uh, Russ and Fields. But like, you could have had him learn under Aaron Rodgers for a little bit, and then when ready, push him out into the spotlight. Or let's go for it. He didn't look bad in preseason last year, so let's just push him out there.
Grant asks, how is it a mistake to sign a long-term deal with the best wideout in the league? Because
Subjective, number one.
well, yeah, I don't think Jamar Chase is the best wide receiver in the
Yeah.
league, but okay, top 5, right?
I will say it is dangerous, right?
It's
You're
dangerous.
mortgaging your future on getting it done now with just offense, when we know, as Jerm, as you pointed out, it's defense that wins championships. And there's a great article on Sports Illustrated that I read today that kind of like discusses this even more and drew comparisons to, the Colts, when they built around Peyton Manning too, and having the likes of who was it, Reggie Wayne, Marvin Harrison, and like just like building around him too. And the answer was simplistically basically breaking down your defense and making sure that they were shut down in the simplest way. And that's how you're going to build a championship, when the better part of 3 or 4 guys are taking up about 40% of your cap hit.
Yeah. And that's really it. You hamstring yourself into, now you're totally dependent on this one player and your quarterback. Hopefully your quarterback, right? We watched Dallas go through this. They paid Ezekiel Elliott and Amari Cooper first, and without paying Dak. Then all of a sudden, Zach Martin was up. A lot of their key pieces on defense, specifically the offensive line in that stretch, if you remember, had the best offensive line in football. But because you paid your skill players, you had to sacrifice the best offensive line in football because now you have to pay Dak. Once that happened, it became a mess. Dallas never recovered from that. And then they did it again and paid CeeDee Lamb. And they're in the mess again. Like, they had to trade for Javonte Williams. They got who's the other? They got another running back, one of those recycled running backs that, was good for like a year. But either way, think about all the high-end receivers, right? People will bring up Tyreek Hill, but they don't remember when they won the Super Bowl with Kansas City. Remember, he didn't get paid until after they had won that Super Bowl. And then they didn't go again, and then he left. And then they went back again because guess what? They didn't have to pay any high-end receivers, and they could build the roster around. And then, now they're in that little part of their cycle. But he goes, I thought you were talking about Justin. Well, no, I'm saying they paid Justin Jefferson, right? We'll see what happens. They paid him in the hopes that they could stay as one of the top teams in the league with JJ McCarthy, as opposed to Kirk Cousins, who was owed too much money for what they felt were a lack of success. You can afford to pay Justin Jefferson, but again, you have to be careful, because if JJ McCarthy doesn't work out, all your money is tied to Justin Jefferson, and you're going to have to start paying other people. You sacrifice something, and what you shouldn't sacrifice is the quarterback and your pass rush, because defense wins championships and quarterbacks get you there. Tyler, I remember you. These guys are idiots. Thank you for commenting. He's talking about me, I think. But it's cool. If JJ McCarthy is above average, the Vikings will be Super Bowl contenders for years to come with their cap space and coaching. So maybe, right? Again, it was smart because they did it at a time where they were drafting a quarterback knowing, but you couldn't pay Kirk Cousins and give Justin Jefferson, because then you won't have the cap space. Kevin O'Connell is a great offensive coach. I think he will bring the best out of JJ McCarthy. I think the Vikings will be fine. I'm a JJ McCarthy fan. And everybody was shitting on the kid in Michigan for all he was doing is winning. It's so funny that we'll give a pass to players like Jalen Hurts. Oh, he's doing what he has to do, when we argue against his eliteness. But the people who argue for his eliteness are saying he's just doing what's asked of him and he's doing it well. Well, JJ McCarthy did the same thing at Michigan. He was doing what Jim Harbaugh wanted him to do, and he won a championship for it. And people were shitting on him. And, that's not right to me. Other stuff, Bert. Aaron Rodgers holding up not only just himself and the Steelers, and then the Vikings decided to be out on him. The Steelers are already getting tired of him, but it's holding up other quarterbacks from signing places, right? Russell Wilson, meeting with the Browns, the Giants. What do you think's the best spot for him? Should Russ because somebody was saying, "Oh, Russ, why would you want to leave? Stay with the Steelers." But I'm kind of like, if I'm Russ, fuck the Steelers.
I was gonna say, sounds like they're not making really much of an effort to keep him, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, look, if I'm Russ, I'm trying to get to New York.
Yeah.
Even if the outlook, and as a Giant fan, we know this isn't favorable in that division anymore to even be competitive next year. And I think as Giant fans, we're okay with this, right? I guess the hope is to not draft a quarterback this year and hold out for Cooper. But for us, or for Russ rather, I mean, continue to play in big markets, big market football. That's what you want to do. You went from winning championships in Seattle to Denver, then to Pittsburgh, and Arch. That's right, not Cooper. Sorry, Cooper's the brother. But
yeah.
So, but yeah, go to New York. Why not?
Yeah. New York would be the best spot for him brand wise.
Yeah.
You go to the Steelers, it's the Steeler way, right? Tomlin, the Steelers are just, you can't be an individual there. Ask Antonio Brown.
That's
Browns
probably not the best example to use. Yeah.
But the guy with the most personality, they got him out of there, right? These guys with personality, they don't
listen. He didn't last long on other teams either.
True,
I'm just,
true.
yeah.
Then you have the Browns, who, I don't know. The Browns are. Matter of fact, hold on, Bert. I have to go on a tangent real fast.
I was gonna say, yeah.
Cleveland Browns just announced that they're gonna build a dome stadium in Cleveland.
Oh yeah.
I made a post about it.
Renderings look awesome.
It looks awesome. It looks great, and it's sad. It's absolutely sad. I underestimated Buffalo. Hold on, Bert. Before, matter of fact, let me go ahead. Let me go ahead and do this real quick.
There we go.
Okay. I had grossly underestimated the sensitivity and flat out stupidity of the Buffalo Bills citizens and fans.
Yeah.
I said, this is what the Bills should have done. Tennessee is building a dome. Kansas City is entertaining, at least having talks about building a dome, relocating to actually Kansas instead of Missouri, right across the way. It's kind of right there on the border, and building a dome for it. Jacksonville, maybe not building a new stadium and a dome, but they are going to add basically a canopy, an open air canopy that covers the field. I said, because snow games are trash.
Yeah.
Snow game, no, they're not fun to watch. I don't want to watch 9-6 games, but it really is less about the football. Even though from a football argument, I don't want to see my players have to, potentially get injured because they have to adjust to the snow, to the weather, to the rain. This is not a cold thing. In my perfect world, if I was king of the world, every team would have a retractable dome. That way, when it's nice and sunny and stuff, you can have the sunshine. But when precipitation happens, again, people are like, oh, Buffalo has always been outside. We're an outside team and da-da-da-da-da. Well, you know what else used to be around? Slavery. Should we bring that back? Should that never change?
Come on.
Should slavery, should we put women in the kitchen? Like, should we just never change? Can we never grow as a society? This football weather nonsense is a dumbass argument. It's a dumb argument. Oh, football is meant to be played outside.
But yeah, let's jump to extremes of the other things that we can bring.
It's the same. It's
changed.
We're evolving. We can evolve as Bert. We have TVs and the refrigerators now. We can evolve as people. Football being outside, because it was architecturally not possible in 1920 when the NFL started.
Listen,
so
I'm
Buffalo,
with you. 100%.
Well, no, it's not. Well, real quick, and that's just the football part. I would like to watch better football. I would like to say Josh Allen play in the best conditions possible.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't care about their record in the snow. I get that they're used to it, but it can't be fun for fans to get $20 to dig out of 8 feet of snow to only sit in 3 feet of snow. That's not good business. Now, to the business end, why you want a stadium in Buffalo, because I don't see Detroit and Minnesota getting affected by the lake wind effects, right? They're all in the same kind of vicinity. They're all in the same boat when it comes to that type of stuff. But what about economy? Does the Buffalo fans not want money?
Yeah.
Do you not want to host wrestling events? Detroit just had SummerSlam this past year. You got car shows.
The Super Bowl. And I know
the Super Bowl,
offering it to because I mean it was played at MetLife Stadium. They're offering it to even those that would be in somewhat of the colder weather, but not the harsh cold weather. Like I mean, I can't remember the last time Buffalo got a Super Bowl bid in definitely, I mean, close than ever, because they tried to play in domes and or warmer climates. And, to me, why not bring a Super Bowl or have the opportunity to bring a Super Bowl to your town? Do you know how many people want to experience that? And for great football cities too, dude, I'm with you. And we've talked about this with baseball as well, and gets everybody pissed off. But all I'm saying is, I mean, look, Durham, how many basketball players don't perform well when it's raining outside? None. Because it's same thing with hockey players, because it's inside.
It's inside.
The only thing you have to worry about is anything that might have spilled on the court, just short of Tracy Morgan's vomit, and same thing with ice conditions,
It's all about culture.
I get it.
I get it too. I get it too. But
I understand it. You get your crazies out there, the ones that are in nothing but body paint when it's 20 below and stuff like that. But I think compounded by the fact that fans want to see and their team have the best opportunity to win in having nothing affect that, like rain or extreme weather. Also, in today's day and age of sports betting, why wouldn't you? Why do I have to, if I'm making my picks, why do I have to worry about if it's gonna snow in one location and so on?
So you like slavery? Yeah, that's what I said. I said I like slavery. Yeah, that's exactly what I said.
Yeah, definitely. Not sarcastic at all. Yeah.
He says, get to our March Madness picks because we don't know anything about football. Well, we got a surprise for you, Tyler. We don't know anything about March Madness. We don't know anything about March Madness. And Bert, so I pulled my bracket out. Yeah. And I'm going to tell you, I have a strategy.
Was it mine and picking mainly off mascots?
So you did mascots.
Basically,
let me
with some exceptions. There were certain things I had to forego mascots for.
So I'm pulling up this bracket. All right.
Yeah.
So where are you starting? Because my strategy is, as a graphic designer, I'm picking every team based on their logos. If I like their logo, so basically the same as a mascot.
Yeah.
I'm going by the logo. So what region you want to start in? Where are we starting?
I'm starting at the left side of I don't even know. I'm starting at the left side of the bracket.
Go for it.
I mean, I'm going Auburn 1. And then I'm going with Creighton over Louisville, only because I can't get over the image in my head every time I see Louisville basketball. That kid in 2013, was it Kevin Ware snapping his leg in half for no reason whatsoever and fucking ruining my Easter dinner. So that vividly burned into my head. Glad he's doing well now, though. So I have to go Creighton because I don't want Louisville to win because it's scarred me for life. I did pick UC San Diego because King Triton looks awesome, even though they're a 12 seed and Michigan is the 5. Had to pick A&M over the Preps over at Yale. UNC for MJ, always. Iowa State over Lipscomb, only because I don't like the name Lipscomb.
Yeah.
Let's see. Duke. Well, no, let me back up. New Mexico, only because the Lobos over the Golden Eagles I thought are much better. And then jumping over to the other side, definitely going with the Blue Devils. Got to stick it with Duke. Baylor Bears look fierce. Ducks over Liberty. I don't know why everybody there's at least 3 or 4 Eagle mascots, and the amount of Cougars in this bracket is just insane. So it's I mean, come on. Definitely going the Sun Devils over Zippy the Kangaroo. As historic as it is, it just looks like a sad ragdoll bear. It doesn't even look like a kangaroo. Badgers over Bears, so Wisconsin over Montana. This one was a tough one with St. Mary's versus Vanderbilt. 2 very lame mascots. So I decided to go with Vandy just because of our boy Jay Cutler.
Nice.
Had to go Alabama, Roll Tide. We have the Battle of the Cougars here with who is it? Houston. But so I ended up going with Houston only because it looked a little bit cooler. And then let's see. Where am I? Here we go. Yeah. So Gonzaga over Georgia, Battle of the Bulldogs. Went with Gonzaga because it's funner to say. Yeah. Clemson definitely had Clemson over McNeese. Purdue versus High Point. Purdue definitely the heavy favorite, but I like High Point. Actually have to make a trip there next week. And they're the Panthers, and it looks super cool because with their not only their logo but the purple and everything as well. Going to Kentucky next. Always going to go for the Wildcats, and then Gonna go with Big Blue with Utah State over UCLA. And to wrap things up with the Battle of the Dogs, I'm going with Tennessee.
My man. I like that. Ours isn't too far off. Again, you went with mascots. I went with logos. So I went with Auburn over in the South region. I went with Auburn. I did go with Creighton, like the Blue Jays.
Yeah.
I went with Michigan because it's a classic. I went with Yale because it's a classic. I did go to Ole Miss for your guy, Eli.
Yeah.
I did go with Iowa State. I went with Marquette, and then Michigan State in the South. In the West, I went with Florida, the Florida Gators. I love that. Love the Gator logo. Obviously, I went with UConn, the Huskies. I went with Colorado State. And I went with Maryland. I went with Drake. Not the rapper. Definitely not the rapper. Actually, you know what?
I completely missed this portion of of the bracket. I'll be honest with you. I was wondering why. I was like, man, why there's so many on this side and not the other. So I think I'll just go with your picks for this one because I'm not going through them right now. But
what is your view on the Penn Bulldogs? Are they going to make the playoffs? What do you think about their coach? I have no idea who that is.
Nope. No idea.
I have no idea who the Penn Bulldogs
This is the first time we've been doing this show for the better part of 4 years. And this is the first time
this is the most college basketball.
Yeah.
We're just doing it because it's a topic and everybody likes it and everybody likes picking bracket. You can do the brackets on the Cut Sports betting app. Download Cut, Kutt, and fill out your bracket because that's what I'm doing. I'm going St. John's. I'm going with Kansas. And I'm going with Duke because
Kansas
Duke
versus Arkansas.
Yes, our Kansas. I went with Duke because Cooper Flag, I'm hoping, is going to be a Philadelphia 76er. And, if we stop winning games, Quentin Grimes scoring 46 points and we're supposed to be tanking right now. So right now we have the fifth best odds for the number one pick. Cooper Flag is 100% going number one. So I got Duke. I went with Baylor because I like their logo better. Oregon. I went with Arizona.
It's tough to not pick Oregon, right?
It's just
tough.
So I love
classic.
it.
Yeah.
It's classic. I went with BYU. I went with Wisconsin, and I went with St. Mary's over Vanderbilt, even though I do like Vanderbilt, but St. Mary's has the old lady, so I'm with it. Alabama, another classic. Just you can't against Robert Morris. Get out of here. Houston, the Zags, Gonzaga, love it. Clemson, obviously another icon. I did go with Purdue. And then Illinois over Xavier, Kentucky again, classic, Utah State, and then Tennessee for the same reasons. So we'll see. He says, look them up. They're really good. So I don't know much about the Penn Bulldogs. So let's do some quick Google searching. They look like they have the same damn. Who is Grant Riddell? Is Penn
Grant
Bulldog?
Riddell?
That's a high school in Plainville, Minnesota. Who do we know? All right. Well, I think they're great then. If you're listening to the show, and if your name is Scott Flatum and Grant Riddell is a pseudonym or like a secret identity, this looks like a high school. So, hey, I believe that they're going to be, unless he was trying to get us to act like we're talking about him, saying that they're going to be really good.
I don't know. I mean, yeah, it looks like no.
Well, I think they have the potential to go really far in the tournament. If they keep up and play offense and play defense, I think Penn Bulldogs can do really well. They're a team to watch out for. Really good. So that's
all they got to do is put points on the board. If they put points on the board, they're going to win the game. But if they don't, definitely going to lose.
So when you get the ball and you shoot it and it goes into the hoop, you get points.
Yeah.
So you just have to get more of those than the other team. And then
it's all about possession. If you have the ball and you shoot it and it goes in, you'll be sound.
What do you think? So speak with Duke. There's a lot of conversation about Cooper Flag, who had a ankle injury or some sort of lower body knee injury or something. Sounds like it was just a sprain, a tweak. He went back out there and played. But a lot of people were like, hey, man, do what they do in football. Like, what are you playing in this tournament for? You're going to be the number one pick. You're tearing up your ankles.
Oh, like doing what they're doing in football. And you mean like just sit it out?
Sit it out. What do you think about that? What do you think about college players sitting out if right? You got players not doing the combine.
Yeah.
You got which I don't agree with, but you got players sitting out bowl games, which I'm actually cool with because you tear your ACL, you're out for the year.
Yeah.
To me, this is the same, right? Like the combine is a little different. You can kind of gauge certain things. To me, it's more about the unity. It's like the rite of passage.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, if you're in the college and you're about to leave, if I get my 2 weeks of my job, hey, listen, you ain't getting the first 2 weeks effort. You know what I mean? Like to me, that's kind of how I look at it. He says it's a baseball team, dumbass. Yeah, I'm sorry I didn't know about the random high school baseball teams in Minnesota. Well, now I hope they lose every game just because of you, Tyler. I hope they lose every single game.
Listen, to get back to your initial question, I'm indifferent about it. I think because the tournament means so much to those that aren't being drafted, right? And it's arguably bigger than college football playoffs. A part of me thinks even if he does risk mild injury, like just go for it for the glory, right? When was the last time Duke won a national championship anyways?
Right.
2015.
Yeah.
So, I think do it for your teammates, but to the same point, like if we think the injury is gonna to ruin his chances completely, like with football and the combine and like the national championships, like some of those injuries could be more detrimental to someone's career for football than it would be for basketball. So I mean, yeah, I mean if he wants to take it off, that's fine. But I mean, this tournament for college basketball players, even if you're going to be drafted, is huge. So why not try to make a run and see what happens?
I think Coach Scott Flanham is doing a really good job with that program. I think he teaches the kids good fundamental skills. He instills a sense of integrity that I think a lot of the kids gravitate to. If I had to attach a record to the game, let's see the season.
You're looking this up.
Yeah, look at
I
it.
think anybody's gonna give a shit about this high school.
No, I think this kid Tyler's
Tyler
part of the
definitely
team.
does. So
Yeah.
sorry, Tyler. Yes, yeah.
Maybe like a nice undefeated. I think undefeated is a good goal, especially with the leadership and the gusto of Coach
It's a
Scott.
very, very simple game. You throw the ball, you catch the ball. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, sometimes it rains.
So in baseball, you stand at the plate with a bat and you swing, and then you hit the ball and you get on base. Once you make a rotation around the inner field and get back to home plate, you score a point. So if you get more of those than the other team, you have a pretty good chance of winning.
Baseball is going to be the last place to employ actual human umpires pretty soon.
Yeah.
So, got to look out for them.
Why limit yourself, Tyler? State champs. How about universal champs?
Yeah.
The greatest high school baseball team
of the U.S. and Canada.
And Canada.
Yeah.
Did you see any of the Tokyo series?
I did
you catch
not.
Shohei? You didn't?
No, I saw some of the clips here and there, but nothing major.
I didn't watch the first game. I watched it on social media, and then I watched some of the second game, and it was pretty cool, man. Shohei hit a home run, and baseball's back. Yeah, the Cubs had their pitcher Shota, the guy that they've been hyping about, 4 scoreless innings pitched, and they pulled him.
What was his pitch count?
I don't. Man, I don't remember the number.
Maybe they don't want him to Garrett Cole the shit out of it and go for Tommy John. That's why.
Well, he walked 4, but he had 4 scoreless.
Okay.
And they pulled him, so
All right. Well, ease him into it.
Cubs, yeah.
Hey man, it's a long season.
It is a long season, but you got to make it. I mean, come on, get it together, man. Play the games. All right, bro. Let's play a little fair or foul before we get out of here.
Let's go.
Fair or foul? Josh Allen needs a Super Bowl more than Lamar Jackson and Joe Burrow. This is hot off the heels of Josh Allen's massive
foul. I don't think he needs it more than those two. I think if anybody needs it the most, it's Lamar.
Yeah.
Josh Allen just won his first MVP, and despite the arguing till we're blue in the face, and you every single week arguing that he should have had now 2 consecutive MVP seasons, Lamar is on his way of being multiple MVP with no Super Bowl appearance.
Yeah.
I think is the bigger one. Now, don't get me wrong, Josh Allen is right there. But if I had to rank them, I would think Lamar needs it, then Josh Allen, and then Joe Burrow has the appearance already. We know he's going to be top for a while. He's going to stick around, and hey, he's got now a team of receivers that's costing the team, along with his salary, about $110 million a year. So they were going to have to do it.
Bert, I'm going to say this is fair.
Hmm.
Because I think if Lamar doesn't win, he's still a 2-time MVP, and he probably could be a 3-time. He still will be so individually dynastic that he will get the credit he deserves, even though he'll get labeled like a choker in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Josh Allen needs the vindication because draft night, it was, wow, I can't believe all these teams passed on Lamar. With Josh, it was, I can't believe they traded up for Josh Allen. This kid sucks. He's inaccurate. He can't do this. Like, he's always been, it's for Josh Allen, we have seen his greatness on the field, and there's always that yeah, but attached to it. Every time. Lamar,
you don't think there'll be a yeah, but to Lamar if he finishes his career with,
but they haven't done it.
MVPs without advancing to even a divisional championship, or excuse me, a conference championship?
That'll be a testament to his success, but nobody questions him as a quarterback. They always question Josh. Turnover machine. This. He's doing this. He's reckless. He does this. Like, he went from having the most turnovers to the least, and all year you still were talking about his turnovers. They were talking about his turnovers when he was leading the league in touchdowns. Like, it's always something with Josh where he's not the best in the league. He's not this. He's not on. Like, they try to talk themselves out of making him elite.
Yeah.
Versus, and I think him winning the MVP will I think people will finally give him his credit, but basically up until last year, it was always, you had to argue harder to make Josh Allen an elite quarterback than you did Joe Burrow or Lamar Jackson, even though neither one of them have won a Super Bowl. You compare them to the Patrick Mahomes bar.
Yeah.
I feel like a Super Bowl will benefit Josh Allen's. Like, if you look at Josh Allen without anything else and just look at what he's done, you would say, wow, this is one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. But people won't do that because they either A, don't want to admit they were wrong about Josh Allen based on how he was drafted and where he was drafted. And 2, you have to stick with this, he's not that good. He's not that good. And he keeps getting better and proving people wrong. People already knew Lamar Jackson. We were watching Lamar. He's like Bryce Harper. He's like the Bryce Harper of football to me. We were watching Lamar high school highlights before he went to Louisville. Then we watched him be a star in Louisville. Josh Allen wasn't a star at Wyoming. He just, nobody really thought about it until he got to the combine. He was throwing it 80 yards in the air. And even then, it was just like, yeah, he's a cannon. But, they didn't question Lamar. So I think a Super Bowl will kind of stamp and basically put a nice bow on Josh Allen's career. I think he will get talked about even higher because then all of a sudden the records become a bigger thing for him. And then, and right now it's just like he can't get past Kansas City. Once he does that, I think his status will
Are you saying just a Super Bowl appearance or a Super Bowl win?
I say Super Bowl win.
Okay. Listen, Jerm, there are other Bills quarterbacks that haven't won Super Bowls that are still in the Hall of Fame. So you guys are good.
Yeah, we'll be straight. Yeah, but I just want to shut these Lamar Jackson people up. That's all I want to do. Bert, fair or foul, the Washington Commanders are the biggest threat to the Eagles in the NFC East.
Yeah, that's completely fair. I mean, you can't make the argument that the Giants are going to be that much of a threat, and unfortunately, Dallas isn't going to be either. With what not only the Commanders have proved last season, but also what they've been doing in the offseason just shows that they're going for broke, and they're going to shut down the Eagles.
Yeah, and this is less about Debo, even though that helps, but it's like you fortify the defense. You have Laramie Tunsil in there. Jaden Daniels is going to take a step up. Tyler says the Bills suck. Sorry, bud. Sorry. So does your mom. And then
this kid's fucking hilarious.
He's great. Tyler's great. And again, people, PFF, NFL.com have Jaden Daniels ranked above Jalen Hurts somehow. Listen, I like
bold too early.
It's bold. It's bold.
Yeah.
But we have a 3-year sample size rule here.
Yep.
But I will say the 1 year we saw of Jaden Daniels is pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Very impressive. To say that's the worst thing you could say about it is that it was
I
impressive.
bet you he goes within top 5 of fantasy quarterbacks drafted this upcoming year.
1,000%.
You're gonna see Mahomes, Allen, Lamar. You'll probably see.
I could see Jalen Hurts.
I can see Jalen Hurts, and then it wouldn't surprise me if it's Jaden Daniels.
That'd be sick, bro. That'd be sick. I take the Cowboys over the Bills.
Oh shit.
Carl Nassib needs to be back in the league. Speaking of the Cowboys, that's who they need. Bert, fair or foul? The Chicago Bears won NFL free agency.
Foul.
Yeah.
Foul. Yeah,
I get it.
Trying. I mean, especially with everything the Vikings did too.
Yeah.
I can't. It's close, but I can't say that they are the clear winner.
I understand why people would say that. The thing, if this is only be if you believe that Caleb Williams is your quarterback.
And I mean, for all intent and purpose, he is. Right.
Like if you have that much faith, but I'm saying they obviously, well, they want him to be, right? Because they, but if you truly feel that way, you go for broke and you fix the one thing that basically plagued them, right? And that was the offensive line. And they spent a lot of capital on offensive line and building that. He was the most sacked quarterback in the league? He
was the quarterback in the league. Yeah.
Yeah. So, it's really hard to give another team the Rams replaced Cooper Kupp with a better player. If I guess you can argue that in terms of where they are in terms of contenders, they didn't take a step back. I'm trying to think of a team that helped themselves. I could say the Patriots. I could say, building around Drake May. We could say the Vikings. We could say a lot of teams, but I'm probably going to go with, I'll go. Well, it depends. It depends.
I was going to say, yeah.
If the Steelers end up
getting,
you got to
look
Rodgers.
At what team. To me, winning free agency is not. It's not a rebuild. It's not getting somewhere to get you to compete. It's being at that competitive level and knowing, what's going to push me, what's going to elevate me to make sure that I not only have the season I had before, but make it deep into the playoffs at this point, and you're seeing yourself in the Super Bowl. And for me, honestly, the one that sticks out is the Vikings. Obviously there's they did all that last year with Sam Darnold at the helm, but when you look at, let's say they sent Sam away. And I'm looking at the list here that I just compiled as of last week, because it's still in my notes. Figure signed Aaron Jones, Byron Murphy, Jonathan Allen, Hargrave, Will Fries, Ryan Kelly. These are important signings that they made to just elevate them. And now, of course, it rests completely on the back of JJ McCarthy, but in terms of putting points on the board. But I mean, that's some serious shit right there.
I think Tyler recruited some people. If this is Logan, looks like he plays for the Penn Bulldogs. You guys have no idea what you're talking about. All right.
There's a good chance we don't, but I tell you what, wait until we cut this up. We'll clip it. We put it on Instagram, and then you can go in and absolutely just completely skewer us in the comments like all the other people do, telling us that we have no idea what we're talking about, that you guys suck, and just knowing that these are our opinions and you're continuing to waste your time with us here. And by the way, the engagement does nothing but boost the algorithm. So
I love it. Keep doing it. And I'm going to keep doing it. Bert, the Cowboys need to draft Dak's replacement.
Foul. He's contracted through 2029. We've got time here for Dallas. We're good.
Yeah. All right, Bert. One day is long enough before you spoil a show.
Foul. You got to give me a week, dude.
What?
Bro, for real, or at least give me, it depends on when the drop is, right?
Okay.
It drops on Tuesday for some reason, or Wednesday, like many of these shows now do. You got to give me till at least Sunday, because that means during the week, things are crazy, running around, got schedules everywhere with the kids and whatnot. Friday night, Saturday night. If I'm not watching my shows by that time, then you have every right to spoil it for me. Especially dude, these Marvel shows coming out Tuesdays, Wednesdays. I got to wait till the weekend. I kind of stay off social media so nothing's ruined. It's crazy.
So let me tell you, Reacher comes out on Thursday. I'm talking about it on Friday.
Yeah.
You crazy. Hey, I prioritize my life. The things that are important. Family, jobs.
Dad, can you drive me to baseball? No. Reacher's on.
Reacher is on, dog. One day a week. I need Reacher in my life. I'm talking about it, and as soon as I get to work on Friday, best believe I'm talking about it. I'm like, dog, Reacher jumped out of an airplane and did a, you should have seen it. Like I'm talking,
Alan
and this
Richardson looks like
and,
he ate 2 men because he's gigantic, and that does look. I haven't started that show yet, but it looks awesome.
Dog. So season 1 was great. Season 2 was good. It just, I think it became self-aware. Like it was too over the top, and it the things that made season 1 great, season 2 didn't do. But season 3's back on it, and season 3's lit. So, dog, I want a sponsorship. I want a T-shirt from Pem Bulldogs. Who is Scott J Flatham? If this dude's a pedophile, I'm gonna be really upset because I'm not gonna big him up if you guys are trying to set me up. If this dude was like, what's that movie with the wrestler? He was doing
He's
a bunch
the
of weird
activities
stuff.
director.
Yeah, what was that movie with the wrestler that Steve Carell played in? He was like abusing the wrestler boys, and he killed one of them or something like that. They made a movie about it.
Yeah,
he was like a well-respected.
Yeah, I forget. Man, let me look that up.
Yeah, whatever movie it is. Anyway, I don't know. Foxcatcher. That's right.
Yeah.
All right, some last little things, Bert. NFL, some rule changes. Packers are proposing to ban the tush push. Like it or hate it?
Hate it.
Hate it.
Find a way to stop it.
Yeah, for real.
Seriously.
Seriously.
I mean, that's like, to me, it's the sports version of my dad will sue. Yeah. Like that's exactly what it is. Just, can you find a way to stop it? Or alternatively, if you can't, just make sure you've got more points than the other team. It's got such an icky, like, oh, well, I can't stop this. And it's a really good play. So I'm going to push to ban it. It's stupid.
If you want to stop the tush push when he's like in the middle of that pile, fucking spit in his face, grab his nuts, hurt him. Like it sounds, I know nobody wants to hear that.
Well, the issue is, like, I mean, you got to think back to the Commanders-Eagles game when, regardless of the Eagles beating them down in the playoffs, I mean, towards the end when it got the tush push, they tried to time their jumps, and it got to the point where they were jumping off so many times that the officials basically said, like, if this continues to happen, we'll just award the score anyways. So
I don't know about it being the gayest play in sports, but
push the agenda. What is this?
But that's yellow. That's Ty. So here's the thing about the tush push, which I find interesting, and why banning it probably has some steam. On defense, there's a rule saying that you can't push a defensive lineman into the offensive line, or you can't push another player to get penetration. So why would the offense be allowed to do that? Because that's essentially what they're doing with the tush push. They're using the running back or tight end or whoever to push the quarterback for momentum's sake.
But that's on any play though. You find even when it's not.
No, you can't purposely extend out with your hands and push. Now, can I lean my body into it? And maybe like holding happens every play, right? Holding subjective too, but like you literally, it is a penalty to do that. So why would it not be a penalty for the offense, which is a fairly good argument? And if you're not going to ban the tush push, then you should unban defensive players being allowed to push other defensive players into the line or in any. I think
capacity. that's a better argument than, I mean, how are you going to ban something that just helped the team be competitive for the past 2-3 years and essentially win a Super Bowl? I'm just not saying that's the only reason they won a Super Bowl, but a large part in putting points on the board for that team, right? So yeah, I mean, if you want to make the argument to reverse the other rule, then that's fine. But to ban it just because it's been working for one team and no one else decides to do it, insane.
Like I said, if you really want to stop it when he's down in that pile, fucking grab his nuts, twist his legs, spit in his face. Like you have to make it uncomfortable for him and make him think twice about not doing it. Again, that's, people don't want to hear that, but it's the truth. Like if you want to stop somebody from doing something, you need to make it uncomfortable for them. Logan says, Bo Nix the next Tom Brady? ? I don't know about all that, but I will toot our own horn, Bert. The beginning of the season, we said Bo Nix was going to be that dude, and he ended up being that dude. So I said, Jaden, not only did we say Jaden Daniels, but we said Bo Nix will be better than Caleb Williams. And look what happened. We did it. That's why we're the best. Hey, Tyler, that's why people watch us. Now go to bed. It's got to be past your bedtime. All right. Go turn on Bluey or whatever you kids are watching these days. You shouldn't have been watching this show. You're too young to be watching this show.
Oh my God.
Carl Nassib would be, there's a lot of gay football, gay stuff happening on our show. Let's just move on. Another rule, something that me and you have talked about, Bert. removing automatic first down on defensive holding and illegal contact. I don't think there should be automatic first downs unless it's a personal foul, to be honest, like a real personal foul. Unnecessary roughness, things like that, roughing the passer should be automatic first downs. Not on defensive holding, not on defensive pass interference, not on some of these subjective play calls. And if you are going to do it, again, much like reversing the defensive player pushing, all those automatic first down calls, and even if you don't get rid of them, all of them should be reviewable or challengeable. Like,
I think they should 100% need to be reviewed and challenged, or challengeable, but need to be reviewed too. I mean, we've been saying it for years on all plays. Have eyes in the sky, have them review it, and be able to call down and say, "Hey, not pass interference. You got this wrong. We're not going to call. We're not going to throw the flag on this one."
last one, Bert. Change of the postseason format. Wildcard teams seated higher than division winners when they have a better record.
I saw this come through. I haven't fully read up on it yet, but initially my knee-jerk reaction is 100%.
Oh, wow, really?
Yeah.
I don't like that. Winning the division
because the schedule's not the same for everybody. Is that why?
I'm not with it because you can't punish a bad division and you can't reward a good division just because it takes away. Then there's no meaning into it. You know what I mean? And listen, you're talking.
Listen. The meaning is to be better at football. Is the meaning, But like, take the AFC South, right?
Mm-hmm.
Take them. Like, we're really going to continue to push out someone that had like a 9-8 season over, these 14-3, 14-2 teams that are now in wild card positions.
Yeah. People are saying that just like the college football, like just reseed. I wouldn't reseed the divisions. If you're gonna do that, then I would just, whoever makes the playoffs, I don't care what conference you're in, like, because at that point that's what you're opening up.
Yeah.
Now we're reseeding conferences. You might as well just reseed the whole thing. Reseed, like, everybody makes the playoffs.
If you're electing to do this, then it's just true. I mean, conferences are great for scheduling purposes in the regular season, but like when it comes down to playoffs, it's truly just AFC, NFC if you're just going to stack rank them like that.
Yeah, I just keep the sanctity of what it is. You people don't
like. This isn't the first time it's been proposed, though. Didn't
I think it's been proposed like every
who proposed it in 2023? Another team proposed it, a very similar format.
Do you think they should let Patrick Mahomes make out with the rest mid-game? He doesn't do that already? All right, Bert, you have a game ball you want to give out?
Yeah. So hockey is going on. It's finishing up. We'll be over the next 6 weeks or so. The New York Rangers' longtime play-by-play announcer, Sam Rosen, is retiring after 40 seasons. He already has a Hall of Fame career. And needless to say, throughout my entire life, he has been the voice of the Rangers, and it's all I've ever known. And this Saturday, during the game that when they play, I think, Edmonton in the afternoon. No, they just played Edmonton. They have another game coming up. Anyways, afternoon game on Saturday. They're honoring Sam for his 40 years with the Rangers, a fantastic career through and through. So I'd be remiss if I wasn't giving him my game ball and certainly thanking him for just like everything that I know as a Ranger fan of, and when you have these play callers, these announcers, it makes it all the difference. And, from somebody that listens to, these fantastic voices in sports, constantly, when you think about like the Bob Shepard for the Yankees and, Vince Scully and just like all of these like Hall of Fame guys, like Sam is right up there. So he gets my game ball. Looking forward to the Saturday game to just truly honor him and all the work that he's done. And we still got a little bit of time left with him before he officially retires, but all in all, he gets my game ball.
So I'm going to keep up with my trend because I'm a man of my word, and I will continue to shout out women in Women's History, Women's Empowerment Month. Unrivaled has been a pleasant surprise to or pleasant addition to sports, giving women who played in the WNBA a chance to make money here in the U.S. instead of going over to Russia and getting put in prison. And they just finished their first season and crowned a champion. Rose Basketball Club is the first champions. Chelsea Gray, the phenomenal Chelsea Gray, is the MVP. Shout out to her. Shout out to Coach Nola Henry. Has a bunch of great outstanding talent. Shouting out to Lexi Hall, who plays on the Fever with Caitlin Clark. Kalia Copper, one of my favorite. Mercury, I believe. I think she used to play for the Sky, if I'm not mistaken. Brittany Skies. A bunch of good players on that team, so shout out to them. And it's a team effort, and they did what they have to do. All right, Bert, this was fun. Thanks to all the losers over at Penn Hallbrook Baseball. I hope you guys never win a game. And Angel Reese is on that team too. Oh, I didn't even notice. I didn't notice that Angel Reese was on the team. I had no idea. Oh, that's crazy. Wow, I must have missed her on the 6-person roster. I didn't see her name on there.
No.
If she's on there, she's on there. I mean, I don't know how much she contributed, but it's, whatever. It's Angel Reese. Good.
Oh,
I'm sure we'll hear all about how great she was and how she won this title by herself on her podcast. So I don't, good for her, I guess. I don't know. Well, shout out to everybody else. I know she wasn't the MVP, so she obviously wasn't the best. I only talk about the winners of the team. Ty, I only care about the contributors. The MVP.
You did, Ty.
That's what you did. At Stuff About Sports on the Instagram, www.giveusashot.network. Penn Bulldog, Minnesota baseball
Thanks
team.
for the comments tonight.
Thanks for the comments. Your coach is trash, and I hope you lose every game. See you next week.